Hi everyone, Sam here from D&D Newbie Sessions. Today I am filming the third video for the new Players Handbook, the 2024 edition. The first video was a first impressions, high-level overview of just of some things that stood out as I took a look at it. The second video was building a character from scratch, which we'll see shortly, and going through the newly redesigned character sheet and learning all that new setup. And today's video is going to be taking a look at kind of a mock scenario and running through the rules and seeing what how things work and what has changed. And there could possibly be a follow-up to this, like a fourth video where I do even more rules. We'll just kind of see like where I get to today. I also, so last time I built, actually let me shrink down my camera here. Okay. So you should see on the screen now the character sheet from last time. This is the newly redesigned PDF version, but basically like pen and paper version. I did convert this for the video today to D&D Beyond, so we can actually like click and see dice rolls like that. So that'll be handy. Plus, it's kind of cool to see the, in the previous video, you got to see the PDF kind of pen and paper version. Now we're going to get this chance to see the D&D Beyond version. And what else here? Oh, also I did catch, just as like a correction to the last video, I caught two things that I missed when I built the character last time. Actually, it might have been three. So one was the breath weapon. I forgot to do the calculation for it. So just if you notice that and you want to understand what's going on there, the calculation was an 8 plus con plus 2. So if we take 8 plus my constitution modifier 2 plus 2, that gives us a DC 12 to save against the breath weapon. And you can see that here in D&D Beyond. I also forgot to select the saving throws. It should have been a wisdom and intelligence saving throw. I forgot to do that. And to do the calculation for that, it would be my bonus plus 3, my proficiency bonus plus 2. So wisdom saving throws plus 5, and intelligence would be plus 1 and plus 2. So plus 3 for intelligence saving throws. And you can see it darkened in here, and there's the bonuses. And then the other thing that I made a mistake on was that I had selected Speak with Animals as a spell at one point in the process, but I forgot that I had gotten that spell as I was prepared from a feature. So I technically had Speak with Animals twice, and I didn't notice that until I built it in D&D Beyond. So what I did was I kept the Speak with Animals from the Druidic feature and chose Earth Tremor instead as a spell. So that's one of the nice things about building a character in D&D Beyond. It's fun building it by hand, and it does help understand like how it all functions. But having the character sheet in D&D Beyond helps catch that type of stuff, which is really nice. Okay, we are going to be playing, like I said, kind of a mock adventure. Basically, I've got a whole list of rules that I want to look into. The only thing I've really done is write down some rules and page numbers to reference them. I haven't really looked at them in depth, so we're going to be figuring this out together. We're going to be, for this mock adventure, we're going to be in the material plane. Let me get that page up here. So we're at 344 in the handbook here. We're on the material plane, of course, specifically the Sword Coast, and we're going to be in the village of, or the town of Leilon. We're going to be also in Foundry tabletop, virtual tabletop here. So here's a little graphic for Leilon. Here's my character Faerun, my trusty steed Steve. So we're going to be riding on into town here in a second. I will be sort of simulating both the DM side and the player character side. I'll be it'll be kind of like a one-on-one session. I'll be the solo adventurer, Faerun, heading into town, looking for some rest and work. I even just for fun, kind of damaged my character a little bit, so I'm down to 7 hit points. I've been out adventuring a little bit, used up a spell, used up some features. So when we take a long rest, we can see that actually regenerate. And yeah, so let's just jump on in here and see where it takes us. Okay, so the DM, as the DM, I'm gonna describe Pharaoh out on an adventure, maybe a bit about the setting and the world and all that stuff. You're coming into the town of Leilon, and as the player, one of the first things I might ask the dungeon master is, as I'm heading into town, have I heard of Leilon before? Have I been here before? What do I know? And the DM's response might be something like, well, Leilon's a well-known town. You don't have to roll anything for the common knowledge, like, let's actually take a look at that page in Google here. So it's a small mining town. They're known for their ore, timber, and animal skins trade. They're on the Sword Coast. They're actually right on the coast, right on the water. So they have a little port. Part of the world, part of Faerun. You know that you've heard that they follow of some of the common religions, but if you want to know anything more detailed than that, let's see if your character happens to know anything, and that's where the DM might call for a history check. So let's check that out here. So history check is based on intelligence. And the example use they give is recall lore about historical events, people, nations, and cultures. So that seems like a fitting check that we could request here. So just for fun, Pharaoh's going to roll a check. Gets a 13, and as the DM, the Dungeon Master might just set a DC for that. In fact, let's take a look really quick in the rules glossary if they have any recommendations on that. Difficulty class. A difficulty class DC is the target number for an ability check or saving throw. See also Chapter 1 D20 tests. Okay, so let's see if we can find that here. Let's see. Difficulty class. For example... Oh, this is for saving throw specifically. Let's see if there's one more generic. Oh, yeah. Difficulty class for an ability check represents the task's difficulty. So, it's a history check. It's just your knowledge. Have you learned anything? The more difficult the task, the higher its DC. So they give typical difficulty classes here. Very easy is a 5. Nearly impossible is a 30, so you know the range. This is not a obscure town. It's on a main trade route. I think it's between Waterdeep and Neverwinter, right? On the high road between Neverwinter and Waterdeep. So this is probably a fairly well-known location. So maybe we set the DC for this to 10, which is easy, and I happen to roll 13. So as the Dungeon Master, I think I'm going to tell my player, Pharaoh, my character Pharaoh here, a little bit more interesting information, and I might reference this page here, and maybe I'm going to reveal the specific religions that they might encounter. Maybe I'm going to reveal some specific information about the trade that happens here, and maybe that could lead to some interesting, contacts in the city that could ultimately lead to a quest or something like that. Maybe a little more information about the population and specifics about the size. What else? Maybe some locations that stand out that might be interesting to visit. Something, again, that might lead to some questing. Something like that. Okay, so as the player, I'm satisfied, got some good information, I feel good about that. And so now we are going to ride on into town. The DM might also share some other information, like actually it looks in the graphic here, looks like it's pretty overcast. Maybe the temperature is, it's not cold, it's not warm, it's somewhere in between. Let's just say it's like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and also describes it as currently in bright light. we might make that, that might be obvious, but just for purposes here, we're going to call out that it's bright light and check that out in the rules here. So the presence or absence of light determines the category of illumination in an area as defined below. So for bright light, lets most creatures see normally. Even gloomy days, like today, provide bright light, as do torches, lanterns, fires, and other sources of illumination within a specific radius. So this is contrasted by dim light, also called shadows, creates lightly obscured areas. An area of dim light is usually a boundary between bright light and surrounding darkness. Okay, that's a good way to put it. So as you head away from the campfire at your camp in the middle of the night, you'll end up in some dim light, let's say. And then there's darkness. Darkness creates a heavily obscured area. Characters face darkness outdoors at night, even most moonlit nights, within the confines of an unlit dungeon or in an area of magical darkness. Let's check the rules glossary, just see if there's anything else interesting about light. Let's see. Oops, I lost that page. Okay. Lightly obscured for dim light says you have disadvantage on perception checks. That makes sense, right? You're at the very edge. Things are hard to see. There's shadows. The things you're looking at are shadowed. You can't really make it out very well, so you have to have disadvantage on a perception check. And in D&D Beyond, if you're curious about that, let's pretend that was the case right now. You can right-click on your perception and do advantage or disadvantage. In this case, we went disadvantage. I'm going to take the lower of the two rolls so you can see. 19 would have been really nice, but unfortunately I have to take the 10 plus 3, 13 for my check. And what was the other one? Heavily obscured. Let's look that up really quick too. You have the blinded condition while trying to see something in heavily obscured space. Okay, let's check out blinded. Blinded condition. While you have the blinded condition, you experience the following effects. You can't see and automatically fail any ability check that requires sight. So I guess in the example we just did here, you're wondering if you can spot someone in the dungeon. You don't have a torch, you don't have dark vision, and you're saying, hey, I know someone's there. Can I spot them? I'm squinting. I'm trying to see, and the DM just says, nope, you can't even make a perception check. You just fail because you cannot perceive. Well, maybe the difference there would be you could hear them, and that could potentially help you. So that's specifically for sight. And then attacks affected. Attack rolls against you have advantage, assuming that they can see. And your attack rolls have disadvantage, of course, because you're just blindly attacking into the dark. Okay, cool. That answers that. Okay, we are heading into town now. Boop, 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 boop. Faerun and Steve rolling on in. I've never been to Leilon before, so one of the first things I'm going to do is ask the DM if I spot any people. He says yes, of course. It's a bustling little village, plenty of people out and about. I wander up to someone and I ask for direction. Specifically, I'm looking for the tavern. I need a place to, tie up my horse. I need some food in my belly. I need to rent a room for the night. And he says, yeah, great. You ride up to someone, and as Pharaoh, I say, ahoy there. I'm looking for the tavern. Can you help me? And the DM describes the person as kind of giving me a look. Maybe they don't get too many dragonborns in town. He looks a little suspicious. And at first he hesitates. And the DM says, why don't you make a persuasion check? He seems like he's not too friendly, doesn't want to answer you for some reason. Okay, persuasion. Based on my charisma, honestly and graciously convince someone of something. That's the example usage. So yeah, I'm going to press on the guy a little bit and say, hey, I just need a little help. I've never been here before. I'm just looking for the tavern. I'm tired from my adventuring, long road. So let's roll a persuasion check now. right there. I have no bonus to it, unfortunately, and I get a 7. All right, unfortunately, he says the guy just grunts, turns away, turns his back on me, and wanders off. And that's it. I don't get any help from him, unfortunately. All right, well, now that's not the end of the world. I'm going to just continue riding on into town. So let's actually switch maps here. And we're going to head on into town. So let's zoom up. So here's Faerun now and my steed. I've got a nice little overview map with a little town here. And we're going to ride on in. The DM at this point might start describing some of the other buildings now, like here's, some signs you notice, here's the type of buildings, the architecture, the type of people you're seeing, all sorts of potentially interesting information for me as the player. We'll pretend that at somewhere in here, as I ride on in, he describes maybe, none of these buildings look quite right, so maybe it's off on the side here somewhere. But he says there's some sort of temple. And, hey, I know a little bit about the religions of the world. What temple is it? And he says, why don't you make a religion check? Okay, so religion. Based on my intelligence, recall lore about gods, religious rituals, and holy symbols. Okay, I got a 6. Oh, not very good. All right, from this distance, he says, you see some iconography. It looks vaguely familiar, but unless you get closer, you're not sure. The best you can tell from the previous information is that it's probably a temple for Lathander or Tyr or Tymora. Okay, not rolling too well. That's all right, though. Not super important at this moment. Okay. He also describes somewhere down here, we got Larry the Lumberjack. Larry is loading up his wagon right here, and he's really struggling with a big, heavy barrel he's trying to get in. He just can't quite get it up there. So I turn over. I think I can actually rotate just for fun here. Oh, and if you're wondering, this is, I mentioned earlier, this is Foundry VTT Virtual Tabletop. This is one of many tabletops that are out there. I just happen to use this one because I think it's cool. But I've used Astral Tabletop in the past, which was really awesome, but they're no longer around. There's Roll20, which is super popular. There's Owlbear Rodeo, which is a popular one because it's totally free. Tableplop's another great one that's free. Above VTT, D&D Beyond is working on their own. Okay, so there we go. I can rotate. And I'm going to ride on down here. I'm going to dismount from my horse and wander on over and ask Larry here if he needs a hand. Specifically, I'm going to try to give him the help action. So let's see what that's all about. Okay, Larry gives me an eye, but he appreciates the help, and he says, yeah, why don't you help me? He gets on one side, I got on the other side of the barrel, and together we're going to try to heave this thing up. So the help action says, help another creature's ability check or attack roll, or administer first aid. Now, one thing I did notice with help, because I was kind of, thumbing through and looking at various things, I noticed that the help action is different in the new version of D&D here. So it says, when you take the help action, you do one of the following. Assist with an ability check or assist with an attack roll. Obviously, in this one, I want to assist with an ability check because we're not fighting. So choose one of your skill or tool proficiencies and one ally who is near enough for you to assist verbally or physically when they make an ability check. Now, I think technically that means I can't help this guy because if I look at my character sheet, I don't have a skill or tool proficiency that is relevant for this. I would think this would be like an athletics check, but I'm not proficient with athletics, and my strength is really bad. And tools don't really make sense here, especially mine. So I think the way this is written, he is also not technically an ally. If he was, it says he would have advantage on the next ability check they make with the chosen skill or tool. Now, as a DM, I think in this case I would rule. So here, let's just compare with the 2014 version. The help action. You can lend your aid to another creature in the completion of a task. When you take the help action, the creature you aid gains advantage on the next ability check it makes to perform the task you are helping with, provided that it makes the check before the start of your next turn. Much more open-ended. It's just you are helping someone with anything. Could be anything. But in this one, it's really saying a skill or tool proficiency. Now, again, as a DM, this is one person helping another person lift a barrel into the wagon. This is not particularly challenging. I don't think it really requires a proficiency to lift something. Even though my strength is weak. I mean, I guess maybe that's what they're thinking is like, I'm so weak that I shouldn't really be able to help. But honestly, even really weak people could help someone lift a barrel. I don't know. So anyway, as a DM, I'm going to rule that that's okay. You can help this guy. So you're going to give him the help action. And now Larry here, who's a commoner, is going to use his strength to lift this barrel. So he's going to have advantage on it. He has no bonus. So this is just going to be, I'm going to do a d20, just two d20s. We'll take the higher of the two for advantage. And actually, wait, how does it? Oops, I cleared it. Oh, shoot. How do I see this now? How do I see the log? Normally, there's a button right here to see the log. Okay. I didn't mean to clear it. Well, that's annoying. Okay, well, anyway, we saw that the highest was 12. So we, right, was a 12 and something else. 12 and a 4, something like that. What the heck? How come you can't see the log in this one? That's really annoying. Okay, well, as a DM, I'm going to set a difficulty class again. I think this, I don't find this particularly hard. So this is going to be easy. This is going to be that DC 10. We got a 12 with advantage. That between the two of us, we're going to heave this thing up into the wagon. And that should be good. As a reward for helping Larry here, Larry is going to be more gracious about providing some information. So similar to the previous interaction, I ask Larry, hey, by the way, I'm looking for the tavern. And he chuckles and he literally just points right across the street over here. Yeah, now I know where the tavern is. And just for fun as well, the DM, I go out of my way to help an innocent person. The DM's going to reward me with a heroic inspiration point, just so we can learn about that as well. Okay, heroic inspiration. If you, a player character, have heroic inspiration, you can expend it to reroll any die immediately after rolling it, and you must use the new roll. If you gain heroic inspiration but already have it, it's lost unless you give it to a player character who lacks it. Okay, so let's just do like a quick little example of that. Let's pretend that Larry, similar to the other guy, I needed to roll a persuasion check on him. So it says you can expend it to re-roll. So I would click Heroic Inspirations to indicate that I have it. Or on the old character sheet, I would, where would I put it? Heroic Inspiration. So I'd probably darken in that little box there. And actually, one thing to point out on D&D Beyond is that most everything is clickable. So if you click on Heroic Inspiration, it's also going to open the panel here and tell you all about it. So anyway, let's roll a persuasion. Oh, of course, I got a nat 20. Okay, well, that's awesome. That's why Larry told me everything I needed to know. Okay, let's mix it up. I walk away, and for whatever reason, I also want to ask about that religion check again. I pointed out to someone and say, hey, by the way, can you tell me what temple that is? Okay, let's see if this one works with me here. Perfect. I got a 5. Okay, that's a terrible roll. They don't want to talk to me for whatever reason. I'm going to use my heroic inspiration, and it says you can expend it to re-roll any die immediately after rolling it. So right away, I'm going to spend it. Click off, click to roll again, hopefully, not much better. I got a 9, but I have to use the 9 as my new roll. I guess if it was lower, I would have to use that too. If you gain heroic inspiration but already have it, it's lost unless you give it to a player character who lacks it. So for example, again, let's pretend from my previous adventures I had already had heroic inspiration, and the DM says, "Oh, you get heroic inspiration from helping Larry," and I go, "Oh crap, I already had it." In this particular case, I'm playing solo. I would just lose it. But maybe I had some adventurer party members with me. I could give it to someone else that lacks it. Okay, sweet. All right, we're gonna ride off over to the tavern here. We've covered, we covered help action. We covered the heroic inspiration point. I've found the tavern now. Let's see. Oh, there's actually stables here. So maybe that's the first thing. I'm gonna ride on over to the stables. And I am going to most likely have to pay to house my horse here overnight. So let's figure that out really quick. So if I go to my inventory, I have 12 gold. How much did I have last time? I don't think that matched. Oh yeah, 12 gold. Okay, so that actually matched up. Cool. Let's do some coin conversion though, because most likely it's probably not, well, actually let's find out. So coinage 231. Okay, so we've got services here. Let's see if there's something relevant. Feed per day. Mounts and other animals. I'm kind of looking for something like, I mean, it'd be kind of like an in-stay, but for an animal. So maybe it'd be like a little cheaper, would be my assumption. So let's do that. Let's do, we'll consider it, so I'm looking in the food, drink, and lodging table. Squalid. Squalid's in-stay per day. You spend the bare minimum for your necessities. You might be exposed to unhealthy conditions and opportunistic criminals. Feed per day is also 5 copper. Squalid is 7 copper. So that would be like a silver and 2 copper, right? Okay. So so let's do something like that. I'm gonna convert 4 gold pieces into 40 silver. So let's do that first. And then let's convert, so 1 silver would be 10 copper. So I guess let's do maybe like 10 silver and take 100 copper. And that should bring me back to the 12. There we go. So now I have like a little mix of coin, and I need to pay 1 silver and 2 copper, I guess. Does that sound right? 1 silver, 2 copper? Yeah, let's do that for the stables. Okay, there we go. That'll allow me to put my horse in there. Wow, it fits like perfectly right in between too. That's awesome. I didn't set that up beforehand. Cool. Okay, we got that taken care of. Did a little coin conversion. That was all in pages like 230, 231. And I think there's actually a little coin conversion calculation thingy on page 213. So yeah, copper is 1/100th of a gold piece. So basically it's like 10. So like 10 copper is 10. Yeah, 10 copper would be 10 copper would be 1 silver. 10 silver would be a gold. 10 gold would be a platinum piece. And then electrum's the weird one that's worth a half. So 5 electrum, I guess, would be a gold. Yeah. Kind of confusing, but all right. So we've got some coins now. We're gonna head on into the tavern. What else? Okay, the DM is going to describe the tavern as bustling with activity. Let's just use our imaginations and pretend the stools are mostly full, the tables are full, there's lots of chatter going on. And as a player, I might want to know, does anyone stand out? What's the vibe in here? Are there any other druids? Are there any other adventurers? Stuff like that. And the DM is going to ask me to make a perception check. Perception. Okay, +3 to my bonus. I am not rolling very well. Oh my god. All right, 9. He tells me some very obvious things. There are people, they're drinking, it's like dinner time. Nobody, like, maybe just the most obvious people stand out, like the bartender and this totally not suspicious person. But everyone else just looks like regular commoners. You'll have to go talk to them if you want to, like, know whether they're druids or not, or something like that. Okay, that's unfortunate. But I'm going to go up to the bartender, Betty the bartender here, and I'm going to ask Betty how much it costs for a room and for some food and drink. And just like with the stables, kind of similar deal. It looks like a mug of ale is 4 copper, and we can just kind of do this as we go. So 4 copper for some ale, and so like bread is 2 copper, cheese is a silver. Let's assume that let's just say it's like 2 silver for a nice big meal. And the tavern is nice. So let's just say it's like modest. You support yourself at an average level. Modest. Well, that's a lifestyle. Does it say? It doesn't describe the in-stay, but let's say it maps similarly. So let's do a modest room. So in-stay per day, modest, 5 silver. So let's bump that up to 7 silver now and click remove. Okay, cool. So now we've got rented a room at the inn, and we got some food and drink. And maybe I'll grab a stool here at the bar and enjoy the food for a little bit. It might be during this time that the DM describes some things that are happening. Maybe I overhear some conversations. Maybe they ask for a perception check again to see if I overhear anything interesting. Ooh, nice. Now I got a good roll. 20. As I sit here over the next, let's say, 30 to 60 minutes, that's plenty of time to really hone in on some of the conversations happening. And I pick up on, it could be anything. It could be some gossip, some local gossip. It could be some name dropping, maybe the town leader, maybe someone's, someone suspicious. The townsfolk seem to all fear this one guy in town, something like that. All right, so I'm picking up all kinds of little bits of interesting information that could potentially lead to some questing. It's at this moment as well that I might want to wander around a little bit. Maybe I picked up one of those conversations. This is random. I just noticed this bear rug or whatever this is absolutely massive. It's like 15 feet across. That looks really funny. Okay, but it's, anyway, I pick up on a conversation happening over here, and I decide to wander over and butt in and see if I can learn a little bit more about this interesting thing they're talking about. And the DM asked me to make just a charisma check. So this one's a little bit different. This isn't going to be one of my skills, like persuasion or intimidation or deception or performance, one of these charisma-based abilities. They're just asking for a raw charisma check. And I think in this case, they were asking for a charisma check because it's not so much that I'm persuading them to tell me information. It's more like the beginning of the conversation. Do they even like you? Do I come across as a likable person that they would even want to talk to? And that's the way that I think about it as a DM. So I'm just going to do a charisma check. Nice, 15. That is pretty solid. And again, as the DM, I'm going to be using that difficulty class table and thinking about maybe this time it's not easy, maybe this time it's a little bit harder, maybe it is a 15, or maybe it's somewhere in between like a 12 or a 13. Either way, I have met or exceeded the difficulty class, and it turns out they allow me to sit down with them at the table for a little bit, and they start telling me some interesting things that's going to lead to my first quest in town. Okay. During that conversation, they also point out this totally not suspicious individual, and they talk about how this person wandered into town and they've been acting funny and they seem dark and evil and stuff like that. And I get after a few drinks, I get bold and I wander over and I start talking to this guy. And this is where I might want to use something new that I noticed, which is the influence action. And if in D&D Beyond, if you're looking for some of this stuff, if you go to the Actions tab and you go to the Actions and Combat section right here, there's a whole bunch of terms, and you can see the influence action is one of those. And if I click on it, you can read all about it. And this is what I'm looking at in the book as well. So with the influence action, you urge a monster. It's kind of a strong term, but maybe this guy is a monster, to do something. So there's... I'm not going to read all of it just because it's going to take a while. You can kind of see it on screen or go check it out yourself. But basically, they give you 3 sort of categories. Is the monster willing? In which case, they just do it, right? No ability check is necessary. The monster fulfills your request. Or that's one extreme. Or are they unwilling, which is the other extreme? It's repugnant to the monster, counter to its alignment. They are just not going to do it. So no ability check is not necessary. It doesn't comply. Maybe an example of that would be like, hey, you should jump off this cliff and kill yourself. Well, obviously they're not going to do that, no matter how hard you try to influence them. But in this case, let's pretend that I'm talking with this guy, and I get the sense, in fact, actually, we're going to do an insight check. Oh, come on. I get an 8. Okay, let's pretend I still have inspiration. Let's see if I can get it with inspiration. Oh, 12. Okay. It's enough to get the sense that this guy might be prone to intimidation. He seems like he might break a little bit. So I am going to use influence. He seems hesitant, and I must now make an ability check, which is affected by the monster's attitude, indifferent, friendly, or hostile. Probably indifferent. He's not friendly or hostile yet. The influence... checks table. Let's see. Whoops, I lost it. The influence checks table suggests which ability check to make based on how you're interacting with the monster. The DM chooses the check, which has a default DC equal to 15, or the monster's intelligence score, whichever is higher. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna do an intimidation. I suddenly pull out my dagger and I slam it into the table, and the guy's totally spooked by it. And we're going to do charisma, intimidation, intimidating a monster. Let's see what happens. Ooh, not too bad, 14. Okay, now that could lose because the default DC is equal to 15, or it could be the monster's intelligence score. This guy, I was kind of considering him like a cultist, which their intelligence score is only 10. So in this case, that could beat it. And let's pretend it did, just because it's more interesting. The guy suddenly startled. He backs up in his chair. He thinks I'm crazy dragonborn that's going to stab him or something like that. And the cultist, suspicious guy here, starts to spill his guts. Oh, don't hurt me. Whatever. I know about this thing that's happening with the guy, and I was just a messenger. I wasn't wrapped up in, I swear, whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to get deeply involved in this quest that's happening. These rumors and things are floating around town. It's starting to piece together the puzzle. Okay. One other thing I thought would be fun is another check. Let's talk about sleight of hand, page 14. All right, sleight of hand, dexterity check. Pick a pocket, concealed a handheld object, or perform legerdemain. Legerdemain? What the hell does that mean? Okay, let's look this up here. Is that on the screen? Yeah.
Legerdemain.
Legerdemain. skillful use of one's hands when performing conjuring tricks, deception, or trickery. Okay, so I was thinking it could potentially make sense to roll a sleight of hand, possibly to pickpocket the guy. Maybe I notice that, he's telling me things, but I'm still a little suspicious that he's not being totally honest. And when he turns to leave because he's been thoroughly intimidating and wants to get out of here, I'm going to make a sleight of hand and see if I can pickpocket a note out of his pocket. Ooh, and I get a 17. That's awesome. Very deftly. I kind of bump into him a little bit, or I kind of help him up, and I say, yeah, you get out of here, buddy. And just as I do that, I slip the note right out of his pocket. And now I've got evidence. I've got something that's going to tell me some critical information about this quest that I'm on. Okay, cool. Didn't know if that was going to work. Glad it did. Let's see. Okay. We're learning some interesting information. We got an insight check to see whether or not I trust the guy. Actually, let's do another insight check just for fun. Oh, got an 8. All right, doesn't matter. I don't notice much else. Insight could have been useful, though, because based on my wisdom, discern a person's mood and intentions. Maybe I would have got a better read on the guy. How dangerous is he? Was he telling me the truth? Should I watch my back? Is this guy going to come back and maybe try to kill me later or something like that? I could potentially get some interesting information from an insight check. But in this case, I got an 8, so no good. Alrighty. Okay, so we've got our first quest. We've made a little progress on it. It's getting late at night at this point, and I want to take a long rest, but my DM's also going to reward me with some experience points. So let's take a look at that. All right, so I'm heading to page 41 in the Players Handbook here, and we're looking at the level advancement section. So while going on adventures, your character gains experience, represented by experience points. Character who reaches specified experience point total advances in capability. So at level 1, I have 0 experience points. My proficiency bonus is +2. I'm trying to get to level 2 so I can get cool new things, new abilities. I need 300 experience points. Now, I think what I've done so far is not worth 300 experience points. So my DM is going to give me, 40 experience. So in D&D Beyond, I'm going to, I think I go to here, yep, and manage XP. And let's see, I'm going to add XP, 40, click apply, and then let's go back to the character sheet, and there we go. Got my 40 out of 300 XP. And if I was on the old character sheet, or not the old one, but the redesigned pen and paper version, I could start writing in my experience here. Cool. All right, starting to make some progress. Oh, and actually, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video that another video I want to make, maybe after these rules-based ones and a little simulated adventure, is leveling up a character. So that might be the next video or the video after. All right, it's nighttime. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm hurt. I've been adventuring, traveling all day. I want to head on to bed, so I'm going to use my key, head on into the room, deposit all my gear, and take a well-deserved rest. So let's take a look now at long rest, page 370. All right, long rest. A long rest is a period of extended downtime, at least 8 hours, available to any creature. During a long rest, you sleep for at least 6 hours and perform no more than 2 hours of light activity, such as reading, talking, eating, or standing watch. That is cool, because I feel like, let's look up long rest in the 2014 version, because I believe it used to just say 8 hours of uninterrupted, and you didn't get those 2 hours to potentially stand watch. I could be wrong, but that's how I always ruled it. See resting. Okay. Resting 186. This is in the 2014 version. Long rest. Oh no, I was wrong. It is at least 8 hours, during which a character sleeps for at least 6 hours and performs no more than 2 hours of light activity, such as standing watch. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. So that's an important note, because oftentimes especially when you're out of town, you're out adventuring, you typically will do rotated watches to make sure you're not attacked in your camp at night or something like that. So having those 2 hours where you can rotate people through is super nice for being able to get the long rest in that same amount of time. Okay, let's see here. During sleep, you have the unconscious condition. Let's look that up really quick since it's mentioned. Okay, unconscious condition. While unconscious, you have the following effects. Inert. You are incapacitated and prone. You drop whatever you're holding. Makes sense. Your speed is 0. Attack rolls against you have advantage. You automatically fail strength and dexterity saving throws. Automatic critical hits. And you're unaware of your surroundings. Okay, totally makes sense. You're unconscious, right? Okay. Cool. And, all right, let me get back to long rest here. So we are unconscious. After you finish a long rest, you must wait at least 16 hours before starting another one. Okay, so you can't do them back to back to back. Benefits of the rest. To start a long rest, you must have at least 1 hit point. Otherwise, yeah, you're dying or dead. When you finish the rest, you gain the following benefits. Regain all hit points. Okay. Let's get the character sheet open. So in D&D Beyond, I can just click the long rest button, and it's going to do all this stuff for me. But let's just make sure we understand it first. So regain all hit points. So that means my HP is going to go from 7 back to 10. If your hit point maximum was reduced, it returns to normal, which it wasn't affected, so that's fine. Ability scores restored. If any of your ability scores were reduced, they return to normal. So maybe I had some sort of a curse on me and my strength was reduced even further or something like that. Exhaustion reduced. If you have the exhaustion condition, its level decreases by 1. And let's look up exhaustion really fast here. Exhaustion condition. So you gain exhaustion levels, just like in the 2014 version. The condition is cumulative, so each level you go up, you have still the previous effects. Each time you receive it, you gain 1 level. You die if your exhaustion level is 6. When you make a D20 test, the roll is reduced by 2 times your exhaustion level. Your speed is reduced by a number of feet equal to 5 times your exhaustion level. Finishing a long rest removes 1 of your exhaustion levels. When your exhaustion level reaches 0, the condition ends. Okay, cool. So maybe that would be a good one for like the next video, like some sort of scenario where we start getting levels of exhaustion. We can experience what that's like. However, for the long rest purposes, if I had a level of exhaustion, I get to decrease it by 1. Okay, special feature. Some features are recharged by a long rest. If you have such a feature, it recharges in the way specified in its description. Let's see if I have any here. Okay, breath weapon recharges on a long rest. So we'll get those back. And my cure wounds is also, what is this one coming from? Magic Initiate Druid. Okay, so once per long rest I can cast Cure Wounds and it's going to come back. Sweet. Okay. Interrupting the rest. A long rest could be interrupted if you have to roll initiative. Casting a spell other than a cantrip, taking any damage. Okay, so casting a spell other than a cantrip during those 2 hours of light activity. That makes sense. Taking any damage makes sense. 1 hour of walking or other physical exertion. So if you tried to do something beyond the light activity, which was defined as reading, talking, eating, or standing watch. If you rested at least 1 hour before the interruption, you gain the benefits of a short rest. Okay, that's cool. So at least you get something. So great, if you were halfway through your long rest and it got interrupted, at least you're going to get the short rest benefits. I'll cover that maybe separately. Okay. You can resume a long rest immediately after an interruption. If you do so, the rest requires 1 additional hour per interruption to finish. Sweet. Okay. Well, in this case, my sleep is going to be interrupted because later in the night, we'll pretend that this guy returns and he's, I don't know, maybe spying on me through the window or something like that. Maybe he even makes a stealth check and breaks into my room or something like that. And my DM asks me what my passive perception is. So I go to my character sheet and I let him know my passive perception is 13. We also noted that somewhere here. Am I looking past it? Oh, right here, passive perception, 13. And he's gonna roll for maybe a stealth check for this guy. And he gets a 14. Plus he probably has a bonus. So this guy is very sneaky. And maybe actually in that case, I'm not interrupted. Maybe he is able to get in and get out, steals back the note or something like that. But it's possible that my long rest would be interrupted by that. My passive perception picks it up. And maybe I notice him right at the end getting back out the window, and that wakes me up or something like that. Okay, that is an example. Let's look up passive perception, though, make sure I didn't miss anything there. So, okay, passive perception is a score that reflects a creature's general awareness of its surroundings. The DM uses this score when determining whether a creature notices something without consciously making a wisdom perception check, right? So in that case, I didn't go to my character sheet and click the perception roll. It was just automatic happening in the background. And it was contested by the stealth check from the enemy. Okay. Passive perception equals 10 plus the perception check bonus, which we already calculated, that we're good there. If the creature has advantage on such checks, which we don't, but if we did, increase the score by 5. So for some reason, yeah, I had advantage on perception right now. My passive perception would be 18. If the creature has disadvantage, then it's decrease it by 5, down to 8. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, that all sounds good. Let's see, what else can we cover here? All right, so we're taking the long rest. Let's click the button now. Confirm. And we can see hit points are up. My features are reset. Spell slots are reset. Great, I'm feeling fresh in the morning when I wake up, and this totally not suspicious guy has wandered off somewhere and disappeared. Let's see here. Okay, let's pretend now it's a little bit later in the day, and I've realized that someone broke into my room, stole back the note. I assume it's that guy, and later on I spot him. Maybe a little bit out of town or something like that. So here's our totally not suspicious guy. I am going to be in pursuit of him now, and going after him. Obviously, he doesn't want me to have the note. He's acting suspicious and stuff. And I'm riding on Steve, chasing him down the road, and he's running away on foot. So there's a good chance I'm going to be able to catch up here. So let's take a look at riding rules, page 27. And how am I doing on time? 53 minutes? Okay, we'll do a little bit more, and then I'll wrap up here. And then, like I said, I think I might do a follow-up to this and cover some more rules as well, because there's still a ton that I haven't even touched on yet. Okay, mounted combat. Let's see. All right, so it is me as a Dragonborn on a riding horse. During your move, you can mount a creature that is within 5 feet of you or dismount. Doing so costs an amount of movement equal to half your speed, round down. For example, if your speed is 30 feet, you spend 15 feet of movement to mount a horse. That would be a great... So most likely this guy had a nice head start. Maybe I saw him on the edge of town. He saw me. I jumped on my horse. That took a little bit of time. He got a nice head start. But now I'm finally catching up. That's why we're out of town, now back on the road. You can control a mount only if it has been trained to accept a rider. We've already established that Steve is my horse. He's used to me riding him, so I have control of him. The initiative of a controlled mount changes to match yours when you mount it. Okay, we're not currently in initiative, but maybe we should be at this point. So let's do that. Let's roll initiative. 15, and we'll roll initiative for the other guy. 11. He probably has a bonus, but let's just, for the sake of this, let's assume I'm going first, he's going second. It moves on your turn as you direct it, and it only has 3 action options during your turn: dash, disengage, and dodge. Cool. All right. Obviously we're skipping some steps. Maybe there would be like a chase in town, then a chase on the road type of thing. But just for the purposes of this, let's pretend that's already happened. And right now I'm in the midst of taking a dash action with my horse to catch up with this totally not suspicious guy. He's running across the bridge. We are over here, and all of a sudden Steve sees the bridge and slams on the brakes. Okay, falling off. If an effect is about to move your mount against its will while you're on it, you must succeed on a DC 10 dexterity saving throw or fall off, landing with the prone condition in an occupied space within 5 feet of the mount. While mounted, you must make the same save if you're knocked prone or the mount is. So I think just for fun, maybe Steve, sees the bridge, gets freaked out, he's a horse, and doesn't want to cross it, hits the brakes, I go flying off, or potentially go flying off. I'm going to make a DC 10 dexterity saving throw. DC 10 dex saving throw. Oh, nat 20, hell yeah. He hits the brakes, but you know what? I know Steve. I knew he was going to do this. And with my nat 20, maybe even something awesome like he hits the brakes, and I use that momentum to just like slide right off the horse. Like I throw my leg, I do a cool little spin move, land right on the ground, and I use that momentum to just keep sprinting forward towards my enemy. Okay, we've left Steve behind now. And we are catching up to this guy. All right. We're in initiative now, combat, and for my first turn, as I run up on him, I'm gonna try and shove him, knock him down prone. That is on page 377. Okay, shove. So this is under the unarmed strike section. So instead of using a weapon to make a melee attack, you can use a punch, kick, headbutt, or similar forceful blow. However, you can also choose, or whenever you use your unarmed strike, choose one of the following options. So damage, grapple, or shove. In this case, I want to do shove. The target must succeed on a strength or dexterity saving throw it chooses, or you either push it 5 feet away, or cause it to have the prone condition. The DC for the saving throw equals 8 plus your strength modifier. Oh, that's not good, because my strength modifier is -1. So it is 7 and proficiency bonus. So it's 9 with my proficiency. The shove is possible only if the target is no more than one size larger than you. So this works. We're both about the same size. He needs to make a strength saving throw. We were calling him a cultist before. His strength is +0. So he is going to just do a d20 roll, and he needs to beat the DC for the saving throw equals a plus. Yeah, so he's got to beat the 9, I guess. And he did. Okay, so I do my best to shove him. He spins around. He kind of grabs my hands and fights me off. I'm not able to shove him, but the two of us are now like fully in combat, fighting on this bridge. Okay, he was basically kind of like a commoner, so I think we're just gonna get into like a little bit of a fist fight right now. He is going to make an unarmed strike against me. So let's look up now unarmed strike damage version. You make an attack roll against your target. Let's just start with that right off the bat. Let's see here. Your bonus to the roll equals your strength modifier plus your proficiency. So it's going to be Proficiency bonus +2, so just a d20 +2. Looks like. And that's going to be 12 to hit. But my armor class is 13, so he did not meet or exceed, which means I save against... he basically tries to punch me, but I managed to dodge the attack. I'm going to return the favor and try an unarmed strike as well. Although I don't do any damage, so that's not good. I take it back. I'm going to do the other type of unarmed strike, which is to grapple him. I'm going to basically try to more or less tackle, grab onto him. Still not a great option because my strength is so bad. But the target must succeed on a strength or dexterity saving throw. Oh, I forgot to double check. Was his strength or dex better? Oh, his dex was +1. Okay. Well, he won before anyway, so it doesn't matter, but that's good to note. The target must succeed on a strength or dexterity saving throw it chooses, or it has the grappled condition. The DC is 8 plus strength plus proficiency, just like before, so it's going to be that 9. This grapple is possible only if the target is no more than one size larger, and you have a hand free to grab it, which right now I have both hands free. Okay, let's do... So this actually will be the d20 +1. And that will be an 11. Still beats my 9. This guy manages to bust free from my grasp. Okay, it will be his turn again. He's going to make his unarmed strike. Oops. My phone's Google thing just turned on. Okay. Let's have him make the unarmed strike again. So it's a d20 +2. He is going to miss yet again. So this is a very embarrassing fight. We're both just like trying to hit each other. It's just slapping and stuff like that, and no damage, no real connections. On my turn, I am going to... Oh, let's do an improvised weapon. I glance around. I'm on a bridge. I notice that part of the bridge, there is a piece of wood, and I could just quick pick it up and use it as a club. Okay, improvised weapon. Page 369. An improvised weapon is an object wielded as a makeshift weapon, such as a broken glass, a table leg, or a frying pan. A simple or martial weapon also counts as an improvised weapon, if it's wielded in a way that's contrary to its design. If you use a ranged weapon to make a melee attack or throw a melee weapon that lacks the thrown property, the weapon counts as an improvised weapon. An improvised weapon follows the rules below. Proficiency. Don't add your proficiency bonus to attack rolls with an improvised weapon. Okay. So we don't get my +2. On a hit, the weapon deals 1d4 damage of a type the DM thinks is appropriate. So I would say 1d4 bludgeoning. Range. I'm not throwing it, so this doesn't matter, but it has a normal range of 20. So I could potentially throw this 20 feet as a normal attack, or a long range of 60 feet. That seems like a really long ways to throw a piece of wood with disadvantage. Weapon equivalence. If an improvised weapon resembles a simpler melee weapon, the DM may say it functions as that weapon and uses that weapon's rules. For example, the DM could treat a table leg as a club. Let's look up weapons really quick, because I think that makes sense, right? I mean, this is basically a club. That seems perfectly reasonable. Let's see, where was that section? Character origins, no. Here we go. All right, I'm looking on page... Well, page 216 gives a picture of a club. So, I mean, you could reference, like, you know, the imagery and stuff if you were unsure if some improvised object represented some other type of weapon. Club makes sense. Let's see. Club is 1d4 bludgeoning. So this doesn't really matter. It's going to be 1d4 no matter what, right? Let's see. Improvised weapons. Oh, they also have something here. Oh, it just says see the rules glossary. Let me see if there's anything else we should take into account here. Melee weapon is used to attack a target within 5 feet, which is what we're doing. Ranged is anything greater. Okay. Anyone can wield a weapon, but you must have a proficiency with it to add your proficiency bonus. Out of curiosity, let's go to inventory. Let's add a club and see how it considers it here for us. So add to equipment. I'm going to check it and go to actions tab. So with club, simple weapon, light, slow, -1 to the damage because my strength's -1. Simple weapons, so it must be giving me a +1 to the DC because I'm -1 but +2 with proficiency. So that would be the +1. Okay, so as the DM, it's my call ultimately. Do I want to consider it a club so that the player gets the DC bonus, also gets to use strength in the attack, or I could just consider it truly improvised, in which case it sounds like the damage would be 1d4. I think that would matter for like other characters in particular. Like if they had a good strength bonus, then they could take advantage of that strength bonus. Yeah, and as a DM, I would definitely rule like this is definitely like a club. So let's just treat it like a club. So okay, on my turn, I'm going to roll to hit. My God, these rolls are terrible. 8 to hit against the cultist armor class, which is 12. Not gonna hit. So once again, we're just whiffing on each other back and forth. And oh, this is also okay. For whatever reason, the totally not suspicious guy gets freaked out. I've got a weapon. He doesn't. He is going to try to run away, which is going to trigger an opportunity attack. You can make an opportunity attack when a creature that you can see leaves your reach using its action, its bonus action, its reaction, or one of its speeds. To make the opportunity attack, take a reaction to make one melee attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike against the provoking creature. The attack occurs right before the creature leaves your reach. See also Chapter 1 Combat. All right, let's see if there's anything else interesting. Page 26, looks like. Okay, opportunity attacks. Making an opportunity attack. You make it when they leave your reach. To make the attack, take a reaction. I have not used my reaction yet, so it's available to me. To make one melee attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. In this case, we're going to use that club since I got it out ready to go. And before he moves to that square, I'm going to be able to do that action. So let's roll again. Come on. Oh, nat 1. Just for fun, as the DM, I'm going to role play that this is, it's a piece of rotting wood that I just pulled off, and when I go to make my opportunity attack, it's a reaction. I'm doing it as quick as possible. The thing just like starts to crumble in my hand. It snaps in half and flies off, plops in the river, and this guy, and his turn now, is going to use his speed to run away. Okay, cool. He didn't use an action. He just took the opportunity. So as he runs away, he could do multiple things. He could take a dash action, run extra far. So we could see that actually here. So let's clear that. Go back to, actions tab. He could take the dash action. And when you take the dash action, you gain extra movement for the current turn. The increase equals your speed after applying any modifiers. So like, for example, mine would go from 30 to 60 feet. He most likely has the same, so he could go another 30 feet. He could also take the disengage. That would have stopped the potential opportunity attack, but he didn't do that. So maybe he could also take the dodge action. You gain the following benefits. Until the start of your next turn, so through the round, any attack roll made against you has disadvantage. So if I now chase after him, try to club him again, or punch him, I have disadvantage on the attack rolls, meaning there's a good chance I'm going to miss. Let's see here. for fun, let's just do the dash action. I'm not measuring it out, but just roughly. He's going to take a dash and get further away. On my turn, I'm going to use my 30 feet and run after. And maybe I can use a spell now just to showcase that. Let's see what we got here. Okay, mending, message, not applicable. Produce flame could be good. Although I think realistically in this scenario, I would be worried about killing this guy. Like maybe I don't want to be a murderer, but also what if I need more information? Why is he doing this? Why is he acting so suspicious? I obviously didn't get all the information from him. So with that thought, I'm going to use Earth Tremor instead. First level spell. Ooh, the range is only, actually wait here. You cause a tremor in the ground within the range, and the range is only 10 feet, so I'm not going to be able to get close enough. That stinks. Because that could knock him prone and be a good option. I could try to charm him, but I'm also fighting him, so I could see this potentially being like maybe he has advantage on the save because now we're hostile, you know, type of thing. I don't have a lot of good options. I might have to just take a dash action and catch up to him, because at least that'll trigger an opportunity attack, and then with my club I could try to make it in a non-lethal attack and knock him unconscious. Let's do that. Maybe he'll try to fight me again. So let's have him on his turn. He's going to do his unarmed strike. Ooh, he does get a good punch this time. That's definitely going to exceed my armor class, which means he gets to roll. Let's just treat it as like, let's see. He's not doing scimitar, so it's probably just going to be a 1d4 bludgeoning damage. Whoops. And he punches me for 1 point. Okay. I'm down to 9 hit points. And again, maybe he's just kind of stupid. He is going to try to run away again. So I get my opportunity attack with the no longer with the club. Ooh, shoot. So now what do I do? Okay, I believe just like in 2014, as part of my attack action, well, this is an opportunity attack again, though. So I can do unarmed, but it doesn't do any damage. So I think, unfortunately, he's just going to be able to get away from me again. But on my turn, I chase him down, and this time I'm going to, as part of my attack action, I can draw or stow a weapon. So let's now take out my staff, my quarterstaff, and see if I can hit him with this. Now, before I do that, I am going to cast Shillelagh as a bonus action. So now I can show a bonus action cantrip being cast. And a club or quarterstaff you are holding is imbued with nature's power. For the duration, you can use your spellcasting ability instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of a melee attacks using the weapon. So this is going to be much better because my staff by default is just +1 to hit, but now Shillelagh is going to bump it up to a +5 for my spell attack bonus. Much better than +1, obviously. Let's see here. Damage rolls of the melee attack using the weapon. The weapon's damage die becomes a D8 instead of a D6. Or, well, it was potentially a D8 if I was two-handing it. But I also get a bonus to it now. It's +3 instead of -1. Let's see. If the attack deals damage, it can be force damage or the weapon's normal damage, your choice. So bonus action, cast Shillelagh. I don't need to track spell slots for it because it's a cantrip. And now I'm going to try to bash this guy. I got a +5, 13 to hit. Beats his armor class. That means it's a hit. And now I can roll damage. 9 damage on the cultist. That is enough to take him down to 0 hit points. And I'm going to specify that this is going to be a non-lethal attack. I want to knock him unconscious. And I believe that is on page 29. Yep, let's check it out here. Okay. Knocking out a creature. When you would reduce a creature to 0 hit points with a melee attack, you can instead reduce the creature to 1 hit point and give it the unconscious condition. So in the game here, I don't have this set up right now, but I could potentially, modify this. We can do that at least. So he's bloodied. He's down to 1 hit point. And in a lot of VTTs, you can add status effects too. Oops. Like, there's probably one here for unconscious. Right there. Oh, those are alphabetical. Okay, so he's unconscious and prone. Give it the unconscious condition. It then starts a short rest, at the end of which the condition ends on it. The condition ends early if the creature regains any hit points, heal or something, or if someone takes an action to administer first aid to it, making a successful DC 10 Wisdom Medicine check. Okay, so for example, what could happen here is I knock him unconscious with my Shillelagh-empowered quarterstaff. Then I go into my equipment. And by the way, we're out of combat now. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, ignore this Bob the Bandit. I might use him in the next video. I was thinking potentially covering surprise or something, but this video is getting pretty long already, so we could do that next time. Okay, out of combat, go into my inventory. I think I have rope. Don't I? Oh, maybe I don't. Bedroll, club, leather, tent. Oh yeah, rope right here. Also, I was looking too. Do I not have like a in 2014 D&D? I'm assuming this one has it too. I'll have to look it up. You get like a Dungeoneer's pack and stuff, and a lot of times that has like additional things, but I don't see that this time. Anyway, I do have rope though. So during his short rest, which let's look up short rest really quick. I'm assuming that's at least an hour like it was in 2014. Is a 1 hour period of downtime. So that gives me plenty of time while he's unconscious and very injured to tie him up with the rope so he can't get away. Then I'm going to use a medicine check, DC 10, to wake him up early because I don't want to wait the full hour. I probably need like 5 minutes to make sure he's fully secured and ready to go. 21, perfect. So with my medicine check, I slap him back to awake, and now I could do, maybe the influence action again and intimidate him. He's in a very vulnerable position, so he's probably going to spill his guts because he obviously didn't want to die. He wanted to get away. So this is where, intimidation check, persuasion check, just role-playing and getting some more information about the quest. Cool. All right. We covered a lot of stuff. We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. That's plenty for this video. Hopefully that's helpful. It's definitely helpful for me as I'm starting to figure out the rules and what has changed and how these things function. In the next video, what I'd like to do is continue on with this adventure, this mock adventure, and cover some additional things like maybe some more combat stuff, cover, surprise, when do you get advantage versus disadvantage, I don't know, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to come back in the next video and we can check those things out. Otherwise, if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. See ya.